Hello, everyone.
Hi. In chapter 11 of Genesis, we mused last time on the significance of let us go down. Let us confuse man's language, etc. This language is, in some sense, dividing Jews and Jehovah's Witnesses against Christians, because Jews and Jehovah's Witnesses and many others who are not Christian believers take the position that if this narrative means anything, it means that God is talking to his court. Jehovah is talking to his court of angels when he says let us go down. But we noted that that becomes problematical when you're comparing it to chapter 1, where it is let us make God in our image.
Make man in our image.
Yeah, sorry about that. Man in our image. How can man be made in the image of angels? Yeah. No, the idea is God.
Yeah.
So in the image of God, he made him. He made him male and female. That's another set of videos. But here, we're trying to establish now if the pattern of Jehovah doing things personally without agency continues in the life and the narrative of Abram. So let us read. Let us read chapter 12.
1 to 9.
1 to 9.
Okay. And Jehovah proceeded to say to Abram, "Go your way out of your country and from your relatives, and from the house of your father, to the country that I shall show you. And I shall make a great nation out of you, and I shall bless you, and I will make your name great, and prove yourself a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and him that calls down evil upon you I shall curse. And all the families of the ground will certainly bless themselves by means of you." At that Abram went just as Jehovah had spoken to him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he went out from Haran. So Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot the son of his brother, and all the goods that they had accumulated, and the souls whom they had acquired in Haran. And they got on their way out to go to the land of Canaan. Finally they came to the land of Canaan. And Abram went on through the land as far as the site of Shechem, near the big trees of Moreh. And at that time the Canaanite was in the land. Jehovah now appeared to Abram, and said, "To your seed I am going to give this land." After that he built an altar there to Jehovah, who had appeared to him. Later he moved from there to the mountainous region to the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. Then he built an altar there to Jehovah, and began to call on the name of Jehovah. Afterward Abram broke camp, going then from encampment to encampment toward the Negev.
First point, what is God designated as in this entire sequence?
Jehovah.
Consistently, just Jehovah or Yahweh. No Jehovah God. No God by itself. And that is significant because, again, we've got the name attached with certain verbs. In this case, very significant verbs. Lord said, Yahweh said in verse 1. So God is a God who communicates, and when he does communicate, it's normally Yahweh he's designated as. And then in verse 7, Yahweh appeared to Abram. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, what do you have to do with that?
Well, you have to make it just a spiritual, some kind of a spiritual appearing.
Or, as Russell was tempted to do back in the Genesis narrative too, make it into somehow a pre-appearance of Jesus Christ, who is later called in several historical books the angel of Jehovah, the angel of the Lord. So Russell and many other commentators on Genesis and Judges and later books have made the point that the angel of Jehovah is somehow a pre-appearance of Jesus, who of course the Watchtower says is Michael. The problem is here, it doesn't say angel. There's no agency. It's Jehovah appeared.
Yeah.
So it's consistent with what's come before, and we're going to find out in future segments it's consistent with what comes after.
Mm-hmm. So Abram is responding.
Yeah.
You know, it's Jehovah does the initial outreach, if you like, and he responds to that initiative.
His building of an altar to Yahweh, and his calling upon the name, which generally means in the Old Testament worshiping Yahweh. Mm-hmm. It's all in a response to something that God has initiated.
Right.
So we will forget that too. There's no mention in here of Abraham praying to God and God recognizing that there was a need for God to respond to Abraham's approach to him. Mm-hmm. It's God who initiates.
Yeah.
And this is missing from many people's appreciation of what salvation is made of. Is it our initiative and then God responding to our initiative?
Mm-hmm. Is it a relationship? Is it really a personal relationship, a two-way street going on, or just one way? One of our
viewers commented, I think quite justly recently, that maybe we're reading too much into the Noah narrative, because
about God favoring.
God favored, that is, that Noah found favor with Jehovah or God, and maybe God. I think the way you view it as a witness is that God looked around the world in the days of Noah and found only one righteous man, and then decided to use that man.
Yeah.
But that's not fitting the pattern of the overall picture. It doesn't fit this pattern.
Yeah.
Yahweh is the one who says to Abram, go.
Yeah. So when you look over the whole scenario of Scripture from beginning to end, is that consistent with the pattern?
Yeah.
You know, so and even with the comments of, say, Paul, who said that faith is a gift from God.
Yes.
It's not something that we originate. So even if you have faith, it's a gift that God gave you.
Yeah. It's not something he recognizes in us and then builds on.
Mm-hmm.
He has to give it to us. Mm-hmm. And then you think of a famous line from John where Christ says to the disciples at the Last Supper, you did not choose me.
I chose
you.
Yeah.
And that's often missing from the Old Testament, because we don't tend to see the inner workings or the background workings of God. We see what's in the narrative. It's written, in other words, from our human perspective.
Right. So I think with being ex-witnesses, when you look at the way the Watchtower presents it, we speak to God, and they say that's a personal relationship with Jehovah. But, you know, even their whole picture, when you get in past Armageddon and into the new system, God stays distant. Jehovah is forever distant. You're never going to have him appear to you, and you're never going to have him talk to you directly. It's always through agencies, through them, man, or through angels.
Yes.
And there's no indication that they think that will change. Whereas, I think the scriptures indicate you're gonna get closer. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be even closer at the final day.
And this is not a new relationship. This is not something just future, because it's obviously past. This is 4,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And God is entering into personal relationship, two-sided communication. It's not just you praying to him and him answering you. Mm-hmm. He initiates it, and he is the one who appears, takes the initiative in that too.
Yeah.
And that means that all these promises that are what we call the Abrahamic covenant, all these promises are unilateral, as the Watchtower has admitted. I will.
Yeah. You know, like when you look at the pictures of the paradise in the Watchtower publications, later, as we grew as Christians, you look at those pictures and you think, well, what's always missing from those pictures? First of all, Jesus is nowhere. He's never there. And Jehovah's not there. You know, what they're promising you is an indefinite future without God and without Christ.
So religion, as defined by the Bible anyway, is relationship first. It's not a set of beliefs. It's not a set of doctrines. It's not even deeds, righteous deeds. It is primarily a relationship that then generates good ideas, good thoughts, and good deeds. And I think that's the fundamental difference between the cults and Christianity. That Christianity starts with the notion of a personal relationship to God. We differ over the implications of that, but cults start with the idea that all relationship is mediated by somebody. And it's always this, in effect, omniscient, omnipotent priesthood, which of course is never in real time, in real space, omniscient and omnipotent. But you must trust that it is. You must act as if it is God on earth. In future episodes and segments, we'll be talking about how this pattern plays out in the rest of the life of Abraham then, and his offspring.
Okay.